Welcome to the Chuck and Lisa Show. We're back. Everybody say hi, Lisa. What am I supposed to say?
Go ahead. You're supposed to say whatever you want. Chuck and Lisa.
It's the Chuck and Lisa Show. Yes, it is. Or the Lisa and Chuck Show. No?
Not today.
Well, you can do most of the talking if it was the Lisa and Chuck Show.
I don't want to.
No.
Nope.
Welcome back, everybody. We're glad you're here. We're hanging out in our living room as we always do. Going to have an hour of discussion about stuff.
Well, we actually go outside sometimes.
Well, you just walk away. Lisa has a lovely habit of just going, I'm going to walk around for a while. And our producer is Mr. Will Dershmer, otherwise known as Dersh.
Give it away.
His name's on the thing.
It's a joke.
Okay. If you don't know Lisa and me, we're both on Twitter and Facebook, and a lot of you know us from both or either. And Lisa's Twitter name is...
Oh, Louise, L-A-W-E-E-Z. One day we will talk about why that's my nickname, but not today.
Okay.
I have to remember. It's sort of morphed from one thing to another thing to another thing.
Yeah, kind of like Chuck Nellis morphed into NASCAR Chuck 336.
No,
that's my Twitter pad.
No, it's
that's
not
my
even
Twitter.
actually similar, but okay.
We'll just go with it.
What's your Twitter handle today?
Well, since April, it's been NASCAR Chuck 336.
But if you can't ever find Chuck,
go see
Twitter,
Lisa.
Go to my timeline. Don't read any of my tweets. Just my profile, and it will say where Chuck is.
Yeah, if you're one of my friends on Twitter,
Unless,
you probably don't want to read her tweets.
Unless you want to read some cool things, then read my tweets.
Well, when you do your pictures and your recipes, they're fantastic.
Don't curate my tweets.
When you do your liberal stuff,
Yeah,
not so much.
Just whatever.
Whatever. Yep. So, Mr. Dershmer...
Wait, how long have I been on Twitter compared to you?
Longer.
5,000 years?
You mean you were in the Flintstones version of Twitter?
It was. We had like a big rock.
And
a bird. That's why it's called Twitter.
Right.
And a bird would like fly it around and drop it on people's heads, and then they would read it.
Like poop.
No, not like poop, like a rock.
You're dropping rocks on people's heads?
What kind of poop do you have?
Man, you must not have an audience that lived very long.
And they were little rocks.
Arkansas.
No. It's in bedrock.
Ah. And
Anyway.
that twist.
I knew you. Oh my God.
You had to. You have to.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. Mr. Dershmer, welcome back to America.
Well, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, man.
How are you today?
I'm still tired. Better than I was yesterday.
I bet. Jet lag it. You sounded rather tired yesterday. Tell me about your trip. Oh well, you're not on Twitter, unfortunately, anymore because the Twitter gods hate you. But tell us about your trip, please.
Wow.
How was your trip? Tell me, you posted some awesome pictures.
Stop talking so he can talk.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we we went to Granada, Spain, and mainly to see the Palace of Alhambra, which is a very, very important palace in the history of the Muslim world. It's quite beautiful, and we're very lucky because we got to stay inside the palace while we were there. And yeah, we were in a hotel called Paradors, and it was originally a Catholic convent, and was the original burial site for Queen Isabella as well. It was exciting.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you do these trips regularly with a whole bunch of kids, and it's really neat what you do. I gotta tell you. Tell everybody a little bit more about how long you've been doing this, and why you do it for the kids.
Yeah, we've this will be in March. It'll be our 12th trip to Europe. My wife teaches humanities and AP art history, and we bring students to Italy, France. Normally Spain, France is 1 year, Italy's the next year. Kind of flop back and forth. Did the Netherlands, and we've done Greece, and actually that's where we're going in March, is Greece. So we take a lot of students, and the company we use called ACIS, they sponsor what they call conventions, and what they do is for people like my wife and I, they give us free trips to explore new places that we haven't been before, in the hopes that we'll eventually take our kids there. And while we're talking, Chuck, I created a little video that's running right now that people will see from the
cool.
From some of the pictures I took, and from the grounds of the palace and the area around. But so they can look at that. But yeah, we've been to Istanbul, Prague, a couple other places I can't even think of, and this year it was Granada, to see the Palace of Alhambra, which is it's one of the palace itself is one of the things that my wife teaches in her AP art history class. It's quite a beautiful place, and it's actually.
Hey, what was that circular room they were just showing? It looked like an amphitheater, or where people would sword fight.
Yeah, it's actually that was the governmental building for King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella.
Oh yeah.
And so it's sort of like a atrium, meeting place.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, so you'll see the Palace of Alhambra. The H is actually silent, but I don't speak Spanish very well, so I mess it up.
Sounds like I'm a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
Spanish.
It's Alhambra. It actually means the red one, and if you look at the palace and the outside walls, it's made out of the red clay, sort of like Georgia clay. So it looks red, and that's why it has that name. It was originally built by Muhammad IV, I believe, and there's actually three palaces in there for each of the Muhammads that were
so like 1 through 4
ruling there. It was actually 4, 5, and 6, but
That's funny.
the palace was built at the end of reign of the Muslim reign in Spain, the Moors, before they were driven out by King Ferdinand.
Did it fall mainly on the plane?
Yeah, well, they were pushed back to Africa. So.
That would be it. That would work.
Yeah. You also see in the pictures when they came, once the Moors were pushed out, and Ferdinand and Isabella used it as their palace, obviously, and they built
And who did Ferdinand and Isabella, for those who aren't history buffs like us?
Well,
what do they have to do with America?
Well, they were obviously the king and queen of Spain, and they were the ones who funded Christopher Columbus and his journey to find a shorter way to India, and he accidentally stumbled on the Americas, and so it's kind of important for us as well.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought was most cool about it, because didn't you say that's where they met?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you look at the video as it goes through, there's in the second palace, there is like the throne room, and it's sort of labeled on the pictures that you see it. But in the throne room inside is where the Muslim rulers were, but it's also where Isabella and Ferdinand were when they met with Columbus to sign the papers and give them the money and stuff like that. Yeah. Unfortunately,
there's that picture.
Yeah. Unfortunately, part of the palace was blown up by Napoleon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he blew up the outer walls and the towers once he conquered that area. Yeah. So a lot of it's been lost. But it's also right now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's very important for the Muslim and Americas and so on and so forth.
Right. And you mentioned your next trip was going to go where?
Well, we're going to Greece with the students in March. So we're going to go to Athens and.
I want to be one of your students, man.
Hey, you can come. We take a lot of adults. This year we have 60 people going.
Really?
10 adult parents, 7 chaperones, and the rest are students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's really cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as those people are looking, the third palace has a water fountain. Unfortunately, it wasn't going. It's surrounded by by 8 lions.
Real lions?
Well, the statues. They're carvings.
How neat! Yeah.
If you look at it very closely when it goes by, the amazing thing is it was carved out of one piece of stone.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. But that's the third palace. It has all kind of gardens in it, and was absolutely gorgeous. And then up on the hill above the Palace of Alhambra, I guess is how as you'll really say it, is a fourth palace that was built by Ferdinand and Isabella for their summer when they were summering, because the other palace got really hot, so they built another one up on top of the hill. It was a lot cooler. It was a fantastic trip.
That sounds like a blast. And you saw all that in 4 days?
Yeah, well, we really saw all of it in 2 days, and then we had some.
2 days they were rounding up the children.
Yeah, no. Well, these trips or these conferences we go to, no kids. It's all adults. It's all,
awesome.
Yeah, it's all teachers. Like I said, it's sort of a reward for us as we can look at new places. So, like when we went to the Czech Republic to go to Prague.
Czech Republic? Oh my God!
Could you imagine a republic of Chucks?
Oh no! I love the Czech Republic.
They'd all be right all the time, right, Dersh?
Yep. But we were there, and like I said, we've gone to Istanbul, which was another absolutely incredibly beautiful place, and unfortunately, you can't go there right now because there's a
little dangerous now.
A little dangerous, yeah.
Well, yeah. You can't go where?
Song.
You know another song?
Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Another song. I've never been to Spain, but I've been to Oklahoma.
We did that last week.
I know, I'm adding it again. Well, we don't have anything that Dershey said last week because he's either a ghost, a vampire, or an alien.
Or all the above.
Tell everybody what happened last week if they happen to listen to the playback.
Well, unfortunately, even though I could be heard in Patriot Journalists, for some reason, mysterious reason, the audio for YouTube was not there.
Right.
But I think we figured it out.
It's just so funny to hear it because there's these blank spots where you're just not speaking.
He was speaking.
Well, I know, but I mean, where nobody could hear him. But the funny thing is, everybody could hear everybody else except for Dershey the ghost.
Well, the weird thing was that they could hear me through the feed on Patriot Journalist, but it just wasn't there, and on YouTube, which I still haven't figured that out. But like I said,
well, you know the beauty of this, we're having fun and we're learning what we're doing and we're getting better at it every week.
And we're not getting paid for it, so that's
right.
We don't care.
No, well, we do care, but
we care, but we're not going to get in trouble if we mess it up.
Right, it's not like somebody's going to fire us.
Right.
You know? Yep. Well, once we get hired by one of the big companies, then we'll be better at it.
We need some sponsors.
We need sponsors next. Hey, if anybody wants to sponsor our show, we are open to suggestions.
We'll even wear fire suits if you'd like.
Oh, that would be cool. I'm all for fire suits. All right, so I actually sort of prepared this week, folks, believe it or not. I really did. Sites that, so like Dershey's going to Greece. Lisa, where do you want to go first?
Right now?
I mean, not at the moment. Your first trip over to Europe or wherever. Well, where do you want to go first?
If I had unlimited funds, I would not go to Europe first. I would go to probably Australia or Japan or like one of the American islands that are near Japan. Which I used to know geography, I really did, I promise, but I don't anymore, like Samoa and Fiji and Tahiti and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're probably nowhere next to each other, but in my head
they're all in the South Pacific.
Okay,
that covers quite an area.
There you go, that.
That covers a couple thousand miles.
Okay, somewhere, just drop me somewhere there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do that. I'd like to go. I would like to go to South America. I've always heard Costa Rica is really cool. Go there before it gets ruined by everybody.
Yeah, Americans are buying it all.
Well, no, they say Costa Rica now is sort of like Hawaii used to be before everybody ruined it. And I don't see how Hawaii is being ruined, but you know what I mean. Obviously, I'd love to go to Cuba. You wouldn't. But on a realistic scale, I would love to go to Poland and Lithuania because that's where 75% of my DNA is from. No, I'm sorry. All of my DNA pretty much, except no.
You're all Polish Lithuanian pretty much.
Which is weird because my grandmother always said she was Scotch Irish, but almost all of my DNA is Eastern European, so something happened there. But I'd really, really love to go there. I love Polish pottery. I love Polish food. Lithuania really intrigues me. I know so little about it.
Well, I know one thing I like already. You made those amazing potato pancakes.
Would you stop with the potato pancakes?
Oh my God, they were just fantastic.
I know, but you're not going to get them every week.
Why not?
Because
you're not that nice.
Because they're not good for you.
Oh, well, there you go. Got to look out for my health. We want to keep me around.
I will make them for you. I will not, however, make them for you every week.
Okay, fair enough.
Plus, they're labor intensive. So.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, I do have a food processor. There's that, but. So I mean, pretty much at this point in my life, I kind of freaking like to go anywhere because I've only been out of the United States once, and that was to Nassau. And I didn't even have to have a passport then, so I know it's my own fault, but and also Chuck doesn't currently have a passport. So
I know. I need to get this passport.
Just
I used
get
to.
it.
I know. I used to have one.
That doesn't. You can't just say that. I used to have one.
No, that's what I'm gonna tell the guy at the border. I used to have one.
I used to have one.
That's not enough. All right. Well, anyway.
This is my second one, and I've never used it.
Well, I had one as a young guy, and of course we traveled over to Asia and
yeah, because who filled out the form
whatnot.
for you?
My mommy.
Your mother.
I was a little boy then.
So who's gonna have to do it this time, probably?
The people down at the VA place down the street. That the place I got the card,
That's
the ID
that's
card.
still called the Register of Deeds.
Yeah, the Register of Deeds. They'll do it for me.
No, you have to fill out your own application.
Okay.
Unless there's some lady in there that thinks you're cute and helps you.
I'm done.
She's got this really long white stick with a red thing on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's funny.
Yeah, so go get your passport.
All right, I'll do it.
Stop!
What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, the dog was doing something inappropriate. And I would also like to go to Ireland.
Oh, I want to go.
I don't want to
Ireland.
spend a huge amounts of time there because it actually seems kind of boring. But
Yeah, well.
I mean, I'm sure it looks pretty, and I'd love to go to a pub and have
Well,
Irish
I
beer.
of course want to visit England because my daughter lives there and she wants us to visit her.
Right, but where would you go if you had unlimited funds? Where would
Well,
you
let
go
me
first?
finish the realism, then I'll go to where I really want to
You're backwards.
go. I've been told I'm not normal before. No, I'd like to go to England and Ireland because that's where apparently like 99% of my DNA is from. And
Sorry,
that's not boring.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
We're so boringly white.
And of course, I want to go with you to Poland and Lithuania because I want to see Europe. I want to see France. We got a buddy in Marseille, so we got to head down to see him when we go
Baker?
over there. Yep,
Buddy Baker?
our Baker.
Yeah.
Took him to his
Subjective,
only
right.
NASCAR race.
Subject-
He loved it.
The French guy in NASCAR did it.
Uh-huh. Best experience of his life. He still talks about it.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe while he was
And
visiting us.
honestly, even more than Australia, which I really want to see because I've known a lot of Australian people and they're like America, but opposite end of the world. They're very much like us.
You remember when we went to that NASCAR race and those Australian
Oh, they
guys
were fun.
sitting next to
They
us
hung
and they
out
were
with us.
drinking American beer and we were like, we love this. We're like, ew, you're drinking, what were they drinking? Like
PBR
Budweiser
or something.
PBR?
I think it's PBR. Like, oh my god.
Australia's one of my bucket lists too, Chuck.
Yeah,
Is it, man?
you did
Oh, yeah.
Did you not hear me? Did I say that first?
Yes, you
I
did.
did. Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. You get a
I'd
brownie
settle-
button.
I'd settle for New Zealand.
Well, if you're that far, you might as well go to Australia. Yeah, I mean, that would be an amazing place because there's so much like us and there's such great people. Stupid gun laws. I was about to say that, but other than that,
I read your mind.
you did. You knew I was going to come
No,
out with
I
that one.
actually really didn't. Honest to God.
No,
I did
you seem
not.
to do that often. But Dershie and Lisa, the one place I haven't been that I want to go more than any place on earth is Israel.
Hey, say hi to Steve. Steve.
Hi, Steve.
He's not in the room. He's listening as a person.
Oh, is he? Hey, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Pizza Steve. You got it,
That's
got it.
cool.
Yeah.
John, welcome to the group, buddy. Good to see you. Hey, we got all of our regular friends here, pretty much. That's awesome.
We have regular friends.
We have regular friends for the show, yeah. And on Twitter.
Oh.
I know all these folks.
Regular is relative, Chuck.
Well, normal is just
He's
It's
an
just a
alien
made-up
and he doesn't
concept.
know. Yeah.
My version of normal is different
You don't
than
have
most
a
everybody.
version of normal.
What's normal for me is not normal for many other
We're not
humans.
talking about NORML.
No. That's all other stuff.
That's your version.
Hey!
I'm just kidding.
Hey! No, actually, I used to put bumper stickers on all my car that said, "Why be normal?" and it would be upside down. It was on like 4 or 5 straight cars. I would get the same
You
bumper
had
sticker
no
and do that.
straight cars.
I'm straight. They had to be straight.
No, they didn't.
Why?
Cars don't have sexual orientation.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. So, we wanted to delve into a little politics today, believe it or not, kiddies. So, the nice.
Mr. Rogers?
Would you be my neighbor?
Unfortunately, I live in the house.
That's right. We wanted to talk about the Coast Guard and really Homeland Security during the course of this government closure.
Shutdown.
Whatever, government shutdown. I couldn't think of the word.
I know.
So, actually, Lisa and I agree on one aspect on this completely, pretty much. Why they are not paid.
Oh, you know what? Wait, hold on one second. We need a sound whenever we agree on something.
I know. Darcy, make up some crazy sound for when we agree.
Yeah, it's going to be like earthquake.
Yeah, there you go. Something like that. Incense around.
Like a bomb. Like a nuclear bomb.
Exactly. But on a very serious topic here, Homeland Security, our borders, our airports, the Coast Guard, which is part of our defense, should be all paid just like the rest of the military. They're too important to the country. I don't know why they're put off in this Homeland Security thing as far as how they're paid, but they shouldn't be. They should be very much paid.
Well,
and
that's an arbitrary thing. They didn't used to be.
Well,
because guess what? There was no Homeland
Right.
Security when Alexander Hamilton.
Hey, I finally got that frog out of my throat, Durst.
Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
When Alexander Hamilton created mostly the Coast Guard, there wasn't exactly a Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
Why did they get?
They were the original Defense Department.
Actually, there's a whole. They were the original Navy.
That's what I mean.
They were the original Navy.
Right, but their job was to protect the mainland.
Gee, thanks.
Well, what?
Navy boy, explain the Navy to me.
You were never in the
They
Navy.
had folks. I was never in the Navy, but I was married to somebody that was in the Navy ROTC. Does that count?
No,
I was
it doesn't
I was
count.
on a Russian shrimp boat. Does that count?
That's a vodka
They were
story.
gonna-
That doesn't
They were
count.
going to kidnap me. Does that count?
They're going to sell you for bottles of
I've
vodka.
been on the USS, whatever that thing is in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. I haven't been on the North Carolina yet, and
Hopefully it
I
has
want
air
to.
conditioning now because, oh my god, if it doesn't, you're going to die.
Right. Now, my whole point with this is that Lisa and I actually agree on this topic. It doesn't make sense for something that is critical to national security that they are not included. I mean, the non-essential employees, that's a whole different subject. But they really are critical employees. We got to have people at the airports checking people to make sure they aren't going to blow up our airplanes.
Have people feeling people up.
You do that for free.
No, I would not do that for free. Did you notice that lady felt me up at the airport the last
know.
time? Yay, me.
Yeah, you. I never get felt up, thankfully.
That's because guys have to do guys and women have to do women.
And I'm not
In
doing
the
any guys.
airport, women. In the airport.
Dershi's singing.
Is he?
In the Navy. I'd rather do the YMCA, because that one you can do the YMCA.
Yeah, but you in the Navy. Is
I know. Yeah, I was in the
That's
Navy.
why you joined. You heard the song.
Yep. I had soap and a rope when I went.
Oh God, this thing.
And I didn't go on a submarine, so I didn't get, bubble topped.
Navy people are so weird.
Yeah, everybody's weird. You know that.
Oscar Mayer is hiring Wienermobile drivers.
So, do any of you guys have any opinion? I don't care about Oscar Mayer. What?
They're hiring Wienermobile drivers. Yeah.
Okay.
In case anybody's looking for a job.
In case you're looking, breaking news here. You too can drive a wiener.
Okay.
Sounds like Obama.
No, just
No, not time yet. No, okay. I can't say no.
No, it's not.
No, not time yet. Okay.
Shut up.
All right. So, does anybody have any opinions in the swamp? We ought to call our thing here the swamp or something. What should we call it? The mosh pit.
Speaking of
Everybody behaves to.
Speaking of calling, Chuck,
Yes.
people can call in at 201-439-8092. And our meeting ID is 82007366.
All right, everybody, get a pen, get your computer open somewhere where you can type this, and call in.
Say hi to your friend. John?
John, yeah, John's here.
You know how I know he's unique? Because he's not typing in all caps.
Huh?
No, it's good to see him.
Oh, I know. Hey, John. We're glad to see you, man. John just had some medical stuff going on, and he's recovering now. And so everybody listening, everybody that's in the room right now, strong op-ed is John, and wish him well. Wish him well. He's a great guy. I know it. You didn't say hi, Jerry, yet?
Me?
We love these guys.
Oh my God, say hi to Jerry. You say hi to Jerry. You talk to him all the time. Hi,
Jerry says that Congress should not be paid during the shutdown. What do you think?
Amen to that.
They seriously really shouldn't be paid at all, but that's...
Amen to that.
Oh, amen to that. I'm all for 2-year term limits and no retirement. For freak's sake, why should you get a lifetime retirement?
Right, it's not supposed to be a job for
It's not. It's supposed to be going in, serving your country, and oh my! Hey, you need that sound again because we're agreeing again.
We need a gong.
If you got,
gong. You got a gong?
If you guys keep doing this, earthquake's gonna come and the earth's gonna fall apart.
No crap! The world's gonna end. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Everybody, we need to change our song, I guess.
And I feel fine.
Everybody, write this down. Tomorrow you're going to wake up and there's going to be an earthquake.
Right. Actually, speaking of writing down, they've all got their pens and something to write on again now, Durst. Give them that phone number and the number to connect in, because we gave them 3 minutes since I last said it.
Because Chuck told them to, and Chuck is always right. People listen to him.
That's right.
Anyway, that phone number is 201-439-8092. And the important part is the meeting ID, 820-07366.
Awesome sauce. Oh. Actually, you know who owes us a phone call is Mr. Jerry. He was supposed to be call number 1, but he had to go walk the dog. He just didn't want to talk to us. That's the truth of the matter. Well, it's, I mean, I'm only scary on Twitter. I'm not scary on here so far. All right, so until somebody does call in or does something, we're going to keep talking. So we have agreement on Coast Guard.
Could you stop yelling?
You always say that to me.
It's because you're like this. Because we're on the radio, so we have to talk really loud so everybody in the world can hear us.
Right. It helps.
No, it doesn't.
No? Okay. Anyway, so what do you think? You agree, Dersh?
100%.
Yep. It's part of the Defense Department for them not to be paid for the people at the airports, because 9/11, and we all know what happened on 9/11. That was the reason we've got Homeland Security and the reason we've got all this security at the airports. We don't need a slip. You know they would love to get an airplane down the building, right?
Yep.
So anyway, let's move on to the next topic. We tried to get to this topic last week, and we didn't quite get there. Disabilities.
Oh, disability. Okay, so here's the thing. Just let me do a quick rant since you have your little quick rant just now. A lot of people believe, and it may be true, that disability has taken the place of welfare in a lot of places because people can't get welfare, and especially in places like West Virginia, it's much easier to get if you are diagnosed with a mental illness instead of a physical disease, which is, I mean, obviously mental illnesses are real and they exist, and yes, I'm a huge proponent of mental health care.
Yes, so am I.
But
it is a huge problem in America.
But they are also harder to quantify as far as, physical tests,
diagnosed,
movement, and what you can and can't do.
So what the hell's wrong with their head?
So a lot of people who apply for disability who are mentally disabled get approved a lot faster than people who are physically disabled, especially if they're young.
Right.
So it leaves the people who need to apply for disability on a physical basis having to basically prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they just can't do anything.
Right.
And it's hard. And so the reason we're talking about it is because we have been looking into it for you, and you are also had an
for my achy breaky back.
Well, yes, but you also had an honorary discharge from the Navy.
Right. Well, a medical discharge.
Right, but it just says honorary discharge.
Oh yeah.
Because of
my blown up knee. Yeah.
Which you never did anything about.
No, I never wanted the money. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, by the way, at this point, you can't go back and get it anyway.
Well, I don't
you can
care.
it only goes back, I think, 5 months or something like that.
That's fine.
But all the hoops that they make you jump through to even try and be considered for it just seems really daunting. And you have to hire a lawyer, and they get 30% of your money or whatever.
Well, it's actually not that bad, Lisa. If you don't mind me stepping in there. Yeah,
Yes, please do.
Not 30% forever, but 30% of the initial.
No.
I need all the help.
I went to my disability. I went to my disability and went back a year and a half for me, and the attorney's fees now it was 6% or $6,000, whichever was the least. So it was a maximum of $6,000, and
That's cool.
6% if it was.
Yours was federal. Yours was federal, not
correct.
Military.
Yeah, but it's the same.
Right, but it's my understanding that you can apply for both, right? Not one or the other.
Well, Chuck could.
You can't piggyback.
No, you
Yes,
can't.
You can, actually.
No,
I didn't think so.
Oh, that's right. You can do pension and disability.
Right.
To disability.
correct.
That's right. And I've actually met people here. This one guy, I basically complimented his Navy veteran sticker on his truck, and he just immediately decided that he needed to have a 45-minute conversation with me about everything.
That's how
that's happened
veterans
to him
are.
in his life.
That's how veterans
I know,
are.
and he told me he worked for the post office, and worked for the Navy, and he would actually be
And you
perfect.
probably made his day.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't, but no, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure you did.
But I just sat there and I listened to him, and he gave me his card, and he actually would be more than happy to.
That's cool.
You just need to go hang out with the old dudes, and he will have. And he has a card. That's what he does. He helps me.
That's cool.
And he wasn't a nut. He knew what he was talking about.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hurt my back a long time ago when I got degenerative spine disease. And I got to the point where I couldn't feel my legs, so I had fusion, L1, L2.
At Duke Hospital.
At Duke. And that did fix that problem. I could feel my feet. But he also, it's really disconcerting.
I'm not laughing that you
It's
couldn't
disconcerting when you can't feel parts of your body, so it was pretty
I'm not
weird.
laughing about that.
No, I
I'm
know
laughing
you're not.
about the rest of the whole story.
Oh, don't worry about that.
And laying on the floor.
It hurt. I had nerve damage after the thing, and it took a long time to heal. Too long.
Yeah.
So it was an experimental, well, it wasn't experimental, but it was an early stage surgery.
Can I let the dog
Of
in,
that.
please?
Yeah, absolutely. Please let them
It's a
know.
girl.
Them.
No, the other one's in.
Okay.
She's right there.
Okie dokie. I can't see her. She's not doing it.
She blended in with the rug.
She does. She same texture even. Our cocker. So anyway, Dershie, I will appreciate any assistance that you offer
And you
on that.
seriously need to go talk.
And it's getting to the point where I really do need to do something
Because
about it.
apparently, one of my other friends who actually does know a lot about it said VA route might speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anything, as we all know, anything to do with federal government is never easy.
Well, not only that, but apparently they're trying to tank that too. So.
Well, I don't. Yeah. All right. All right.
Exactly. You don't know. Exactly.
Well, I don't know.
All right.
That's
so
why
that's what you were starting to say, and then you stopped. You
No.
just basically wanted to say I was
See,
wrong.
before she said she couldn't read my mind, and now she does read my mind, which is
depends if your mind is there or not.
My mind is always there. Sometimes
it's not in your head.
My mind is always perfectly fine. I never worry about that.
Well, yeah.
Now we're going to politics.
No, we're not.
All right, how much time we got, Dersh?
We're talking about politics.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Good.
Whether you're an alien
So anyway, disabilities, that's about, I mean, what we wanted to talk about is other people's experiences with it too. So everything that we do this week, we're going to carry on down the road. So it's going to be kind of cumulative that some stuff that we talked about in the first weeks, we're going to keep talking about down in later weeks because they're important to people.
It's life.
Well, disabilities is really dealing with real life because many people we know are getting older and dealing.
No, actually, all the people we know are getting older.
I knew she was going to say that. But
except the ones who are dead.
The ones that aren't dead, the ones that are falling apart like the rest of us, they need to know all these things, and that's why I want to make that part of our show to help people out. Because as we find out with my festivities getting into it, we'll let you guys know what we find out. And Dershie, you can always add all the good stuff that you know too. So, did anybody call us, Mr. Dersh?
Not yet.
You bastards, call us! Damn it! Oh, is it? Well, did I swear, Dershie?
Yes.
Do I owe $1 in the jar
Yes,
for any of that?
Yes, you do. And I've got a trip coming up, so I might have to cash out a little sooner than I expected.
The Dershie retirement jar.
Yep.
You could get rich if we really get into politics sometime, man.
That's what I'm counting on.
Let's see. I'm going to throw a volley over the wall that Lisa suggested. So let's see how this plays out. State of the Union.
Anyway.
I'm going to let Lisa have her spiel first.
Listen.
Go for it. You don't have to grab the microphone.
Yes, you know why I do?
Why?
Because Emma says you're... Have this one then. Emma says you're too close, and everybody can hear you breathing.
You can hear me breathing.
So there.
I breathe through my nose. Oh, sorry,
Well, here, have the long one.
Well, in that case, we have to disconnect the show for a second.
Oh, one whole second.
Oh, no.
Top Dershie, say something.
Hey, Dershie, say something.
Something.
1 whole second. We have to
Something. Something.
Something. That one. Just switch that one and this one.
All right.
Am I done saying stuff? Sure like to hear from Jerry or Coach or Dennis or Sean or somebody out there listening to the show. Want to put their 2 cents in?
There, that's better.
Okay.
All right, now take the microphone over there.
Why?
Because I'm loud and you're not.
No kidding,
Move
really?
the whole thing over.
Yeah, and plus nobody wants to hear you breathe.
I don't even want to hear me
Especially
breathing. I just want to breathe, not hear it.
Alright, so what were we talking about besides breathing?
All right. How does that sound, everybody? Ask Emma if that sounds better. Lord knows nobody wants to hear me breathe. All right, so let's see. State of the Union. I was about to open my can of worms. Miss Lisa,
What?
go for it.
What?
State of the Union.
Oh. You mean my personal take on the State of the Union? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh, that was just... Starting to talk.
Yeah,
Shut up. Alright, so, as very few people probably know, the State of the Union wasn't always a speech on TV. Number one, because we didn't always have TV. But it wasn't really...
There was a ton of them.
You should know, old man.
Well,
Is that it?
Lisa, the first president to actually give a speech was Woodrow Wilson.
Right, but it wasn't always right. It wasn't always a speech. It was a written document sent to Congress.
So pretty much before radio. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Ask Dershie.
Yes. Well, up until Woodrow Wilson, it was always a written letter, which is all the Constitution calls for is that from time to time the president reports on the State of the Union. It doesn't even give a.
It's literally right. It's literally the State of the Union, basically like
Correct, and it doesn't even give a timeline. I mean, it could be
But where are you?
once every 2 years, once every 6 months, whatever. But
So is Woodrow Wilson's in Congress, in the House?
Woodrow, yes, he was the first one to address the both houses of Congress, and he did it more as a morale booster for what was going on in the country, wars going and stuff like that. But it wasn't till I believe Eisenhower, maybe just after that, right, that we did the first televised version of the State of the Union.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be in Congress. It can be anywhere. It could be in.
Right.
And again, it
Except
does.
we're not in North Carolina where they invited him to have it.
I actually, earlier today, I gotta throw this tweet in there. I suggested he do it at his favorite McDonald's.
Only if he dresses like Donald McDonald.
Ronald?
No,
Donald
Donald
McDonald. Right?
Donald McDonald.
It'd have to be Donald McDonald.
Donald McTrump.
Okay. Well, son of Trump, yeah. Nick means son of.
Oh my God! I'm gonna go in the kitchen and get a fork and stab you with it right
she
now.
She says that every week.
Really?
I'm not talking just to you.
You were looking at me when you said it.
Okay, I won't look at you.
Here's today's Ancestry.com lesson from Chuck Ellis. Mick means son of.
There you go.
Oh, apostrophe also means son of.
But a lot of people don't know all that stuff.
Okay, well now they do. Courtesy of you and Ancestry.com. Thank you. You should sponsor us. Wait, leading into possibly next week's topic, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it probably will be very good.
It'll probably involve forks sticking out of me.
It'll probably
involve
pictures.
What? Pictures of forks sticking out? Oh yeah, I know. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a good one.
But we're not telling you. We're not no spoilers.
All right. So anyway, the State of the Union stuff is interesting right now. That's about to fall over.
So are you?
No, I'm not.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Drinking coffee, chilling out.
I just meant someday.
So, ooh, that was straight into the microphone. That was pretty good.
There.
All you guys out there, calm down.
That's for all the breathing that Chuck did earlier. I had to.
Hey Emma, can you still hear me? Can anybody?
No,
still
that
hear
was
me breathing?
that was me breathing. That was me breathing.
I know that, but I meant earlier.
All right.
I didn't know she could hear me breathe, so the microphone.
She said it's better.
Away. Okay. Glad to hear it. Thanks, Emma. Emma is Lisa's daughter. So anyway, we back to the State of the Union. It's quite a little drama going on between everybody, and we'll see how that plays out. So, do you think, Gershie, question for you, do you think she'll open up the house?
Oh, you know why? Can I say something? Wait, this is
no.
Because it's the Chuck and Lisa show. Chuck and Dirty show. That's gonna be on Tuesday nights, remember?
No, she won't, Chuck. She won't because the left wing of her party won't let her.
Well, not only that, but you know why I think that it's not going to happen?
Why?
Because you know how everybody invites their family to come in Congress? They've already been telling people not to come. So they know people in Congress.
The Democrats.
No, I mean people in Congress because they know that it's not going to happen.
Gotcha.
So they've been telling their families not to waste the money.
So they're all going to McDonald's.
To see Ronald.
Or
Donald.
Actually, I don't even know if Mr. Gershie's heard this yet, but Ted Cruz has suggested he hold it in the Senate chamber.
Right, which you can.
You know what I suggest?
You can.
What I suggest?
What?
You should hold it in the restroom.
Restroom?
Yeah, why not?
None of the seats.
They could put a mic and a camera.
It'd be great acoustics.
I know, right? La 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 la.
You're so weird. Lisa lives on her own planet.
She's happy there. You don't.
I live on the planet Constitution.
There's not enough room for me on your planet.
I live on the USS Constitution.
Take Constitution.
You take Constitution. Alright,
now, Doris.
Hershey, please give me your opinion, buddy. We've gone so far around the loop.
Well, my opinion is that the State of the Union is one of the biggest wastes of government time and money that we have. It's absolutely worthless.
You know what else?
I don't care who's president, what party's president. It's absolutely worthless. I say,
You know what else?
in this day of electronics, go back to a letter, post it on the internet, and save us all some time.
Yeah, yeah.
We need a sound for when me and Dershey agree also. A different sound. I don't know. No, you don't get to make up all the sounds.
I can make all the sound.
And that's a sad noise anyway. Shouldn't it be a
Ding, ding,
good
ding, ding,
noise?
ding, ding. How's that?
I could care less whether they give it
Yeah,
or
I
not.
agree with you on that. And also, you know how many wasted missing hours of television we lost as little kids when that stupid
well, that's-
came on and we couldn't watch anything else?
That's the worst part of it. You miss your weekly shows because the stupid president wants to talk.
And there wasn't any
What's
video
up
or
with that?
there wasn't any video or DVD or cable or anything.
It always happened at every time
Like
because it was
we-
always prime time.
We had to watch it because there wasn't anything else on. There was that one rando channel that was.
We had 4
Showing
channels, and every single one of them
Channel
was showing
20.
the
If you
President.
happen to live at Channel 20 did.
not yeah
Channel
right.
20,
The UHF
right, the
UHF
UHF
channel.
channel. They would be showing something random like
Kids are going
Whatever
UHF.
happened.
What the hell is that?
whatever happened to Baby Jane or something
Right.
during the yeah, something you've already seen 72 times anyway, but you had to watch it because it was better than watching the president.
That's true.
And then the other
yeah.
part. Oh, don't even go there, Mister. I love politics. You were probably like, this really stinks. I'd rather be watching
I
Brady
sat
Bunch.
there with my father
Right.
watching them my whole life.
Oh, see, my parents, they were probably working or something.
My
and they were
mother
so-
never had any interest, and my father was always sitting there intently
See,
watching.
That's
And
the
I sat
problem.
with him.
That's the whole problem. Your
Why?
father.
Hey Chuck, you want to know what the best part of the State of the Union address is? Watching Ginsburg sleep.
That is
That's
actually.
always fun.
Be nice to Mike Ginsburg.
Or
That
she-
is that. She's old. She needs a nap.
She'll be on a stretcher
I mean, it's
this
not
year
like
if
it's
she's there.
important anyway. She might as well take a nap, right? You just said it wasn't important, right?
Well, he did. Or she did.
You know it's not important. It's
Well,
just a
it
bunch of hot
really
air.
is. It's just more of the same crap
She's
you've heard all
taking a
week
nap.
long, all month long, all year long.
Right. Well, unfortunately, it's turned into a campaign speech now.
Yeah, really.
I like
not.
Gerald
Everything's
Ford.
a campaign speech anymore.
I like Gerald Ford.
Why?
And he was just like, State of the Union, it's not good.
I remember that. I like Reagan's though. He told dynamic speeches for those things, didn't
Well,
he?
that's because somebody wrote them for him.
Well, yeah, they've all got speechwriters.
I know this.
Excellent ones, really.
Here you go. Have you ever met a presidential speechwriter in person?
Yes.
Go.
On Twitter.
No, in person.
Oh, in person. Well, there are people on Twitter.
No, in person meaning like they were standing in front of you, breathing on you.
Yes, I have.
No, there are.
Yeah, who have you met?
I met one of W's speechwriters at a book signing thing at a
Yeah.
bookstore. Yeah.
Who was it?
It-
Anybody interesting?
I don't remember.
People-
I don't remember his
Can't
name.
remember. Can't be that
I bet
interesting.
people-
I don't-
No.
remember the name of the one I met.
What?
Some dude named Pat Buchanan.
Yeah, I met him too.
My sister worked for his brother, Henry.
Yeah.
So we met Pat and his wife,
Yeah,
his lovely son.
I met him too.
That was Henry's.
I got his autograph from on my book in my book.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that whole family's. There's a story right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Their dad beat them, but anyway.
I got one cool thing. I don't think he was a speechwriter. I don't remember what his job was, but in 1980, I was working at a hotel just outside of D.C.
He was a stripper.
and this. No, I was the front desk manager at
Same
that
thing.
moment. Same thing. And this fella came in, and his name was Regan, R-E-G-A-N, and I went, your name's a lot like the president. And then I looked at his first name and remembered reading the newspaper headlines. Donald Regan to meet with Ronald Reagan.
Right.
So I had a nice long talk with him before and after he met with Reagan that day. So that was kind of interesting. Couldn't say enough good things about Reagan. So Reagan got the job, obviously. Remember him?
Yep. Sure do. It was David Frum, by the way, Lisa, who I met.
Ah, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
I also met Speaker of the House for autograph. Got his book autographed. What's his name?
You were Newt?
Newt, yeah.
Newt.
Actually, I've gotten a lot I've met a lot of politicians and been to a lot of their speeches and stuff like that. Got a lot of autographs, books signed.
Probably actually went to school with some.
I've done a lot of stumping along the way, but not really so much with campaigns until I got working with Ted. You know, I was helping Ted a lot. And of course, I met him and Mike Lee in the course of 2 events, and that was really cool. Mike Lee, he's a pretty stout senator all by himself. And of course, Ted, he's just how many legal things and how many laws has Ted Cruz done?
Wait,
The
when
author
did this
of
go to
Labor.
Ted
I
Cruz?
just decided to throw him in there.
Is that his beard?
Yeah, that's a kick-ass beard.
I know it
He's
looks
a member of the beard
looks
party
like he-
now.
glued a raccoon on his face.
That's not.
I don't. Chuck, you and I agree about most things, but man, I'm not sure about that beard on Ted. That's just kind of freaks me out.
Really, you don't like it?
Yeah.
I think it makes him more
I don't
distinguished.
mean to be mean
Yeah.
than I already am,
Er.
but I don't know that anything can really help that face.
Well, I think the beard did because it covered it up. I don't know. I like beards.
I do too.
So, what are you gonna get beard? Ted?
No. I'm gonna say I'd have to be gay first of all, and so Ted neither one of us are.
As far as you know.
What, you're not sure about yourself, Chuck?
I'm probably sure about me. I don't know what she's talking about. I do. Oh, we always joke. We'll end the show with it because it's really funny. We only got a couple minutes left, but I am a Broadway. Elisa says fag.
I did not say that.
She actually did say
I did not
that.
say that. No, I didn't.
But
Prove it.
I've always loved Broadway. I grew up on it. I mean, when I was 12, I went to an opera in Korea. I've gone
Is
to
that a
tons of
euphemism
plays
for
and stuff
something?
like that. No.
That was 12. I went to an opera in Korea. I've never been the same.
And living around D.C., I went to a lot of plays and stuff. And now I've got her into it. Now she's listening to the Broadway channel 24 hours a day when she's in her Mustang.
Well,
And your truck.
Mostly.
Yes. Well, you know what? You can't. It's hard to get better music.
Well, I change it when I keep hearing the same song. Okay, Sirius XM has a thing where they get into a rut and they'll play the same, like, 50 songs on a channel for a month and a half, and then they'll shuffle them around and they'll play, like, 50 different songs. I don't know why they can't have a broader...
50 per day, maybe, spread them out.
Something. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be like you hear the same 50 or 60 songs for a long period of time, then they retire it's kind of like the little kids when the moms put away the toys in the closet,
right?
And then the kids forget about them and they bring them back out again and they're new. But yeah, it's kind of like that, but it doesn't work that way for me. So I get tired and I start listening to another channel.
Right. Well, that's the
But it's
beauty.
almost time for
NASCAR.
NASCAR.
I know, NASCAR's coming back soon. Dirt.
So I'm gonna start listening to
Daytona.
There was a squirrel right there.
Yep. Hey, speaking of commercial plugs, somebody that you wanted to have sponsor the show, I really want Black Rifle Coffee Company to join us. I promote you a lot on Twitter because we thought you were just badass. Dershie, you drink it too, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's the best.
It really is. Which one do you drink?
BRC, what is it? The calf mostly.
CF.
Yeah, I like the calf.
You drink the high test.
Yeah, that's my favorite. But I've tried all of them just to see which ones I like. But that's the one I keep going back to.
Hey, you know what CAF stands for, don't you? Caffeinated as F.
Yeah.
And they actually say it in their promotion. I've been drinking this other one. What was it called? Brown Bag.
Brown
No, Brown Bag.
Brown is too. Yeah.
Isn't that called Brown Bag?
Hold on, and I'll go get it.
Yeah, go check one out. Because it's this new one that's
Here.
It's still a dark
Hold my
roast.
buds.
It's still your earbuds. It's still a dark coffee, but it's not nearly as caffeinated to hell as the other one. Because if I had that CAF right now, when it's time for bed, I wouldn't get to bed very easily.
Coffee doesn't bother me anymore, Chuck. I could drink an entire pot of coffee and it wouldn't bother me. I like the AK as well.
Wait, there's more.
Lisa's trying to find that coffee. But, I mean, they've got a ton of stuff. They'd be a natural sponsor for this show, to
Big
be
brown,
honest.
bigger, badder, browner.
Big,
That sounds big, brown.
Big brown. Yeah.
Bigger.
It's
badder, browner.
actually, let me see the box just for a second.
Oh, read that though.
Have you ever gotten the Mission Fuel Kit, Chuck?
No, tell me about it.
Well, it's got the AK-47. It's got the BB coffee.
I've seen that.
It's got the JB and a little of the SS. All in.
So it's got the big brown coffee.
Yeah, it's got right. So it's got them all samples of all of them in the same box, which is kind of nice.
Why do I promote them? On the end of the box, Lisa said, read this. A portion of profits go to veterans, law enforcement, first responders, and gun rights organizations. I need say nothing more. And they're serious about it.
And they're all military people too.
Huh?
They're all military as well.
Yeah, they are. They're all veterans and military people and stuff like that. I would love to have an association with them on the show. They're good folks, and their coffee is just kick butt. All right, anybody else got anything to say? My voice is... I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I want to apologize for my voice. I've got a frog that just doesn't seem to want to go away this week. Ribbit. See? Gersh, you got anything to throw in there?
No. Hope some of these guys who are listening next week call in and so we can have a conversation. But
yes, please do call in, especially you guys that are in the message room all the time. Please call in because we love to hear your voices and hear what you have to ask or what you have to talk about.
Even if you have something critical to say, it's fine. I'll just go cry.
Even if you want to say, Chuck, you suck.
I'll just go cry later.
Aw, nobody say anything mean to you.
I'm just joking.
No.
I'll cry if they say anything mean
Oh, shit. Shoot. You see it every day. I get tortured. I get,
Right.
I get aircraft fire
Right,
every day.
I'm just a fat thing that's no fun.
but Chuck, I do have one last thing to say.
Yes, sir.
I'm staring at my wall in my man cave at this empty space I'm reserving for autograph photographs.
Shut up, nurse.
Lisa, you gotta get in that
Oh,
autograph.
God. Okay.
Tommy, if you
Tommy's not listening.
you
Probably.
may be listening later this week.
Hey,
Get
Ike.
that autograph for goodness sakes.
You
The
want
poor
the,
man's been waiting 2 years
you
now.
want the old picture of the two of you.
Now it wasn't even that. Now
No, it wasn't. It was not. They were. That was when they were Clemson playing Wake in 2007. That's not even. No, that's 12 years ago. Oh my God. All right, I'm definitely.
And thank you for reminding me constantly that
Wow. He's staring at his paw.
he's staring at us with his 105-inch screen
Oh, I
TV
know.
on the
Poor,
other wall.
poor guy.
Jerry left.
Uh-oh, it's past his bedtime.
Well, it is late.
It's also cold. Maybe he froze to
Maybe he
death.
froze. Hypothermia while he was trying to listen to us.
Alright, do your thing.
All right, Chuck. Yeah, it's an hour and 5 minutes in, so it's time to wrap it up.
All right, brother. Well, at least we showed up on time and we made it through the whole hour.
We
And
showed up
hopefully
on
everybody's voices will be in the playback, too.
And
That'll
maybe,
make it wonderful.
maybe Chuck will stop breathing into the microphone.
Well, hopefully
Tune
we've
in
solved
next
that
week.
issue.
Tune in next week.
Can anybody hear me breathing now? I don't think so.
Stop breathing.
Stop breathing, Chuck.
Democrats do that. You should stop
You should stop breathing.
breathing. Stop breathing.
Democrats do the opposite of whatever a Republican says, so I say keep breathing.
That's what I'm saying. Democrats.
Ginsburg might be the next one to stop breathing.
No, you didn't get my
maybe
point.
so.
Democrats breathe,
Right.
so you should stop.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Everybody, get ready to say it together.
Not
On the
me.
count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And Obama still sucks. Darcy?
He sure does.
He sure does. Good night, you guys. I love y'all.